Good afternoon. I'm County Executive Ken Jenkins, and today is January 22nd, 2025, and we're here to talk about a really wonderful piece of legislation that we'll be advancing today. With me here is the Deputy County Executive Richard Wishney, Commissioner Susan Spear, Chairman of the Board of Legislators Vidat Gashi, legislators Erica Lang Pierce, Nancy Barr, and Judah Holstein will be coming up with us momentarily. We also have with us Stephen Greenfield, who is here from the Ardsley Sector Volunteer Ambulance Corps, and certainly also a member of our County EMS Advisory Board. And then Martin Gunther, the Vice President of the Westchester County Volunteer Firefighters Association. We're here this afternoon to announce proposed legislation that would expand the county property tax break that's awarded to our volunteer firefighters and volunteer ambulance corps here in Westchester County. Under the current law, volunteer firefighters and volunteer ambulance personnel who have at least 2 years of service are eligible for a 10% county property tax exemption if they serve in an organization located in the municipality where they reside. The proposed amendment to the legislation aligns with the changes to the New York State real property tax law, which will allow that exemption to extend to volunteers serving in neighboring communities well within the county of Westchester. So you don't have to live where you serve, and we certainly want to appreciate and recognize and support those volunteers in EMS and ambulance corps, as well as our volunteer firefighters who put their lives on the line and use their professional services to help folks wherever they happen to be. And as long as they're volunteering and they have those 2 years of service, they should be eligible to the same tax break that everyone else does. All of our volunteer firefighters and EMS personnel serve our communities with dedication and skill. They train regularly to become proficient and to remain proficient in the skills they need to keep the rest of us safe. This training commitment alone requires a substantial amount of time away from their families and their loved ones so they can take care of others when the need arises. So they continue to answer the call in the aid of their neighbors in times of fire or medical emergencies at all hours of the day and night. This commitment continually may pull them away from their own activities from their family, a dinner table, or family gatherings, or other important events that are happening. Our volunteer firefighters and volunteer ambulance personnel are the backbone of our emergency services, selflessly dedicating their time and energy to keep our communities safe. We deeply value and appreciate their bravery and commitment every single day. So by expanding our county tax exemption to include those serving anywhere in Westchester County, we aim to support their efforts, enhance recruitment, and retain these essential volunteers. With that, we're going to turn over to the Commissioner of Emergency Services, Susan Spear, who will bring us some additional information and speak about how much this means for all of our volunteer ambulance corps, as well as our volunteer firefighters.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon. Thank you, County Executive Jenkins and Deputy County Executive Wishney, who is a lifetime volunteer fire department member. So proud to have him here. And Director of Operations, Joan McDonald, for introducing this legislation. Also, so glad to have so many of our legislators here. I think that really bodes well for the possibility that this bill will be quickly enacted. So we appreciate you being here as well. Also with me, most importantly, are some of our top volunteers from throughout the county, both EMS and fire, who serve our communities every single day. New York State enacted legislation to enable a property tax benefit for our fire and EMS volunteers, and we appreciate that County Executive Jenkins is going to make sure that Westchester County opts in so our local fire and EMS volunteers will benefit from this important legislation. This 10% county tax assessment exemption provides a strong recruitment and retention opportunity for our volunteer fire and EMS departments. By extending the eligibility to any volunteer department within the county, it increases the number of volunteers who are eligible for this important benefit. This is one more way that Westchester County encourages volunteer fire and EMS service and builds on our other recruitment and retention actions. And there is another important public benefit to this legislation. Volunteer departments provide a significant tax savings to their local communities in the town, all the towns and villages they serve. By rewarding this volunteer service, we support our volunteers and we save significant taxpayer dollars. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Spear. At this time, we're going to ask Stephen Greenfeld to come up and speak for a few moments from the Volunteer Ambulance Corps and tell us some things that are going on for our EMS grateful.
Absolutely. Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Stephen Greenfeld. I'm a past captain and current public information officer for the Ardsley Sea Corps Volunteer Ambulance Corps. I know that's a mouthful, but that's the name of the organization. If you're familiar with Ardsley, it's a thriving community. It is wonderful place to live, and it has been 100% volunteer served by not only its volunteer ambulance corps, but its fire department. The ambulance corps was established in 1962 and is one of the very few that have remained in Westchester as all volunteer service provided 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, for 61 years now. ASVAC, as we call it, is part of the lifeblood of the Ardsley community. Not only do we provide basic life support services to the entire Ardsley School District, but we also provide much needed mutual aid services to our neighboring communities. We are building long-standing and trusting relationships with some of the other communities, such as Lucas, who represents the as captain of the Irvington Volunteer Ambulance Corps. And we are struggling because we are having more and more trouble recruiting and retaining our members as the economics of the environment we live in are changing, and the time commitments that people have with their family and their jobs and their returning to the office. So the tools that are being proposed here today are going to be an excellent addition to our recruitment and our retention capabilities. Historically, we were confined to finding volunteers within the community of Ardsley, which by itself is relatively small. This is going to help us recruit from our neighboring communities where we also serve and find much needed talent in order to survive for another 60 years as an entire 100% volunteer organization. So County Executive Jenkins, thank you. I want to call you Commissioner Wishing.
That's okay.
Deputy Executive. Thank you, and the legislator, thank you for considering this. This will be an amazing tool for us and will truly be needed and used by our organization.
Thank you. Thank you, Steve. At this time, we're going to hear from Martin Gunther, who's the Vice President of the Westchester County Volunteer Firefighters Association.
Thank you. Thank you, Ken, for the invitation. Sue, we greatly appreciate this step in the right direction for this legislation. This is going to aid, as Sue said, with our recruitment and retention is most important. As a volunteer in the village of Hastings-on-Hudson, a deputy chief for over 40-something years now, I can see the need of the times have changed, and we definitely need more young people, people to live in town. So this is really going to help us with that quest. And I appreciate and thank everyone for their diligent efforts. Thank you. Thank you, Ken.
Thank you. At this time, we're going to ask the chairman of the Board of Legislators to come up, and certainly we'll have some words from each one of our legislators that are here this afternoon with us as well. With that, let me turn over to the chairman of the Board of Legislators, Dr. Kashi.
Yes, woman. Come on in. I'd like to recognize, again, we're joined by legislator Erica Lang-Pierce, Nancy Barr, and Judah Holstein, and also have representatives from legislator David Tubiolo's office and vice chair Jose Alvarado's office here joining us. Also, unfortunately, she's busy teaching, so majority of Terry Clemens couldn't make it today. But as chair of public safety, she was very eager and as supportive of this as everybody else. I'd like to say and I was mentioning it earlier, there are occasions where something like this comes up and it becomes difficult conversations. And then there are other laws that once they come up, people clamor to say they're in support of. And we at the Board of Legislators, as reflected partially by the turnout here today, are incredibly in favor of this. I want to thank County Executive Ken Jenkins for pushing this at our earliest possible opportunity to do so. And obviously, Deputy County Executive Richard Wishney also has some familiarity with the subject. And Commissioner Susan Spear has been a fantastic leader for us. When you have a fire in your home, when somebody in your family has that urgent medical need, a life-threatening event, that's when you value them most. But it's hard to explain how deeply we appreciate the services provided by the heroes among us. Thank you all for the services you all provide. I think this provision is a small reflection of the fact that we do value the services you provide. And and coming from Yorktown, where seemingly every other home is either a fireman or an EMS employee, the ability for every person, whether they serve within their own community, so long as they serve in Westchester, to be able to get that benefit is a tremendously important thing. And I'm very eager to receive this bill from the county executive, and I am excited to be pushing it forward as fast as we can. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I'll turn it over. Yeah.
Yes. So I am Legislator Erica Pearson. I have been one of those clamorers, not just in the last few minutes upon learning about this having happened. For years, on behalf of my communities, we have been advocating to the state for this particular change. We, in fact, have one of our local firefighters up here who has done tremendous years of service. And in our communities, we have people who, for a variety of reasons, have not been able to afford to stay, have needed to move on to other neighboring communities. Maybe there are multiple generations. These are kids who came up through the junior corps, who are experienced, who have been trained by our fire departments, who now live a town over, 2 towns over to raise our kids, want to keep serving. And so these are critical pieces of the life for our volunteers. Also, if you think about the workday and the people who leave our communities to go work elsewhere, well, there are people who come in. And in many cases, those people who, for example, come into the town of Bedford to work during the day, those are the people who serve in our fire departments. Those are the people who volunteer for our ambulance corps. If we did not have those folks in the mix, we would never be able to field the teams that we need to be able to field during the workday. So this is critical for how we operate. This is really beneficial for our residents. Nobody asks where the firefighter's coming from when they show up to your house to put the fire out. And I know they had good reasons to say initially no on this, but I am so very happy that we now have a yes answer. This is going to be huge for my community. Thank you so very much for everyone here.
Hello, I'm Nancy Barr. I'm the county legislator who represents District 6, which includes the village of Portchester, which is an all-volunteer fire department. And there actually are several different companies. And those folks are very proud of the work they've done. I've been to many 50-year ceremonies for people who've been in the volunteer fire service for 50 years. And often their family members, their children after them want to serve and do serve. And even they say it's been hard. It's been hard to recruit people these days for a variety of reasons. And this is the kind of thing that we can do at the county level to help increase the ranks of volunteer firefighters, as well as show them that we really do care and support them. So I'm very delighted about this proposed legislation, and I think, as has already been mentioned, it's going to be very popular with our entire board, and some of whom were at a committee meeting and they couldn't leave. But I appreciate this opportunity to give back to those who volunteer for all of us. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Judah Holstein. I'm the county legislator for District 10, which is Eastchester, Tuckahoe, and New Rochelle. And I, too, am just proud to be able to support our heroes who really, imagine if they weren't there, right? So, I'm glad to go to support this bill, to support the folks who are doing this, putting their lives on the line, and anything we can do to help you. That's so critical, whether you're getting paid or not, but especially if you're not. I'm just glad to be supporting this bill. Thank you.
Thank you, Legislator Holstein. we're going to be closed out by a volunteer firefighter himself, an EMS person, and so many other things. Our Deputy County Executive, Richard Boyce.
Thank you, County Executive. You've heard all of the reasons that this legislation is critical. I got to tell you that we have a crisis in finding volunteers to serve both the firefighters in volunteer firefighting organizations throughout the county, as well as our EMS services. We've been working here at the county. The county last year, 2 years ago, had a contract with a outside vendor to provide additional ambulance service to Westchester County. There was a reason, because we don't have enough people to respond when people need them. So this legislation is critical. In my own community, Briarcliff Manor, where I'm a life member, I no longer serve, I'm too old to do this kind of work. But I do want to indicate to you that many of the volunteers who served in Briarcliff Manor lived in Ossining. And we need to encourage them to continue that. As the legislators say, their communities will be served well by this legislation. It's another recruitment and retention tool that's desperately needed. So thank you, Ken Jenkins, our leader here in Westchester County, and to Vedat Gashi and all the legislators. We know you're going to approve this quickly, and we thank you. Thank you very much.
As the chairman said, there's always a great crowd for legislation that's popular, but there's a reason for it. And again, this combines with the programs that we have in place already, as like the HERO program that makes sure that we're compensating and taking care of providing funds to support the training that many of our heroes continue to do to make sure that they're prepared as best as possible. And it continues to be an example of the county in Westchester County as a team, as we try to make sure that we make affordability is a key for everyone. But when you have ambulance services, and as it's been heard through so many folks that have stood here today, whether it's on the volunteer firefighter or the volunteer EMS side of things, it does not matter. People answer that bell, they answer the call, and they move there to service. And you do not check people's ID to say which community are you from when they're coming to serve you. You want to get that assistance that's necessary. And this will be a great opportunity to retain and to be able to acquire and to make sure that the people that do this work for us are recognized. It's a 10% reduction in their county tax. That's not every tax, so we just want to be very clear about that. It's the things that we can control at the county level. But the local municipalities all are very appreciative of their volunteer ambulance corps and volunteer firefighters. There's maybe some mixes and things that are going on, but we need to have this particular piece of legislation. It is so great seeing our colleagues here from the Board of Legislators and everyone together, even when they're here or not here, they're represented. And this is going to be that kind of legislation that I don't think there'll be that much difficulty for it, but there's the deliberate process that the Board of Legislators must do to make sure that the impact and show the impact across Westchester County. I'm County Executive Ken Jenkins. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see how this legislation progresses. I'm confident that it'll be adopted at its earliest opportunity. Thank you.